Could you ask the government to enumerate what's on that scroll? It would solve the problem, Your Honor. It's property. The prosecution's supposed to be able to look at property. Recording now. All right, so this is the scroll of silence, and as you can see, it's a very long scroll. It's got a whole lot of documents in there, including signed documents and so forth. These are legal documents that show theft by extortion, conspiracy against rights, conspiracy and restraint of trade. It also shows that I was tortured, and it shows that people have lied in courts, which is perjury, to facilitate the theft by extortion. You want to pull that up further so that we can see? And there are a bunch of court documents. In those court documents are motions, and there are emails, and there are parts of court transcripts, all of which are put into this scroll because by themselves you don't really understand what all happened, but in the totality of it, you see that theft by extortion occurred, inclusive of duress, inclusive of attempted poisoning, which also can be considered attempted murder, since the poisons they tried to justify can drop people dead, but you can't justify poisoning people by lying in court and omitting evidence and fabricating evidence and so on. So here we have the scroll of silence. In the end, you have a couple of images that I created that don't really have anything to do with the scroll, but I had some extra space on this document, or on this roll of paper that needed to be used. I didn't want to waste the paper, so we've got the images in the end. And as you can see, it's a very long document, and I will be going over each panel to describe how they relate to each other and how I can prove, evidentially speaking, that what I say occurred. This is pretty much an affidavit, going to be for an affidavit for court when I can get into court. The problem is that government sanctioned these lies, and government's not allowed to sanction lying and fabrication of evidence and altering and tampering of evidence, inclusive of tampering of the record. So it has been a 10-year nightmare that this scroll has documented in date and time. There will be other documents that will go along in this video that I'm making, but well, we've got the scroll stretched out from now. I mean, now I'm going to go back inside and go and put the computer electronic file up on a movie screen so we can zoom into each and every panel and discuss it in a more in an easier fashion. Great, thanks guys. Every one of them has been met, and this has gone on for over a decade. I've been trying to get this into court. Now, Mr. Hunter knows that there are people who can corroborate what I'm saying, that government got property. Mr. Hunter has not called those people. The family lawyer that you're talking about has a motion to suppress evidence saying that government got property and I was seized illegally. We're talking about human trafficking and torture, Your Honor, and over theft by extortion, and I can prove it. I've got Mr. Hunter on tape saying that Judge C.B. Day's signature and Counselor Sims' signature are hearsay. They're on public documents, and according to Rule 902, public documents are already authenticated. So this man is refusing to call people. The government doesn't want to look at property that they got, which by law they've got to account for and pay. Now, all of this is the background to this misdemeanor crime. But there are due process rules. Okay. So, at the Copyright Office, there's this good gentleman who has taken wonderful care of me. He has put a JPEG, a little diskette thingy, what are those called? Flash drive.
Thumb drive.
Yeah, into this envelope. I've given him the form, which he is reviewing really quickly. Make sure that all the stuff is in there. I've made some little changes on the publishing because we weren't sure whether indeed it had been published already or was an unpublished work. And since the parameters that were discussed had not been met, I've taken out the date of publishing. So it is considered now to be an unpublished work, and we've whited out the spots here and here, and I've initialed them, and then I've signed the paperwork. Here is the receipt with the authorization information, and the gentleman says that I'm in good standing and everything has been taken care of. Am I correct, good sir?
It's true. It'll be submitted for processing for copyright registration. Registration specialist. Okay?
Fantastic. And your name is, sir?
My name is Clifton.
Clifton?
Yes.
Okay, because it's not on your copyright
those are
card.
just general cards. Yeah.
Clifton, what's your last name?
Well, we don't give out our last name. It's just I'm Alan Clifton in the public office.
Okay, well, wonderful. And again, Clifton, thank you so much for your help. We're good to go. I'm good to go.
Give you a receipt.
I thought I'd gotten the receipt with the.
Don't rush off yet.
Okay, there you go. And thank you so much for your help, Clifton. It's always nice to speak with somebody.
And then you'll be able to.
Fantastic.
This is the Form VA.
So, are you unhappy that you're not located in the Library of Congress itself? Because it's such a beautiful building.
Well, it is, but we're
You're happy where you are?
of it, yes.
There you go. There you go. And do you find good parking?
Fortunately, I don't have to be concerned with that. Public transportation parking is really difficult.
I found a great spot right up the street there for a second, but it costs.
Oh, yeah.
It all costs.
Yeah, parking is very limited in this area, and they do encourage, us to use public transportation.
There you go. You don't mind my doing this little video blog? I videoed all the way to the door, and then I asked him if I could, and he said, well, not in public places, but upstairs in the office you probably can.
It happens all the time.
Well, the thing is that this is some pretty hot, this is some hot stuff.
Right.
And as I told you, it's supposed to force some debarricading of the court doors because remedy is a right with or without resort to tribunal. And I'm trying to force some issues here, as well as copyright, formerly intellectual property. So I'm a real property owner, a property holder, which is always nice to have.
Exactly.
So
Absolutely.
anyway, I want to thank you for your kindness and your guidance and your good works on my behalf. And yes, it might go up on YouTube or Facebook with your permission, but if it ever goes in a movie because it's such a hot topic, I promise you will get residual benefits.
I may want that in writing now.
Well, that also depends on if your bosses aren't bothered by such. But I have no problems with it because if this thing does end up going to a movie, I'm going to be a beneficiary as well.
I guess I'm doing this in my federal government capacity, so I guess it's okay.
Okay, well, wonderful. It's always good to know that we have somebody who's aware of their contract obligations and does due diligence in such fine style as you, good sir.
Exactly.
Okay. Oh, sure. I mean, why not be in there? And I think you should be in there too. You know, we could be doing the jig. I could do a jig. I don't know if it's appropriate. From this gentleman's desk, probably not.
Why is it blurry? Oh, there it is. No, it's good now.
It's got a thing. It's got its memory thingy so that it's supposed to auto adjust because it's a bloggy dealing and supposed to be able to do its auto adjust thing.
Gotcha.
But hold on, you're looking so elegant. I think you know, and all the witnessing is a great thing. Anyway, it's the beginning of my first documented intellectual property, formally documented in the bowels of the USG.
In the morning.
So how many people do you come to your desk on a daily basis, or is Friday the day when everybody invents and documents?
Fridays are good days for that, that's true. But it varies from time to time. I'm seeing on the average maybe about 10 to 15, because we shift. We have different shifts. We have a different shift out here in the morning, and then we have an afternoon shift, so it varies.
Yes. Well, that's kind of good. It means that you get to do several different things,
Right.
and don't get burnt out on one thing, which is always a little more interesting.
We take in all the calls from the public, so if you call, you may get one of us one time. Okay.
But you're not one of the examiners, actual examiners.
Right. No, I'm not one of the. They're now referred to as registration specialists. Yeah, this will be reviewed by a registration specialist. Right?
And how long does it usually take if one hand delivers it?
Yeah. Well, the processing time is the same amount of time whether you hand deliver it or send it through the mail.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, with the paper forms, as far as processing time, it's about 11 to 12 months before you get your certificate back in the mail.
Yes.
But the registration is always effective upon receipt.
Upon receipt.
Upon receipt.
So basically, since I can use the copyright symbol in any case,
Right.
I can feel like it's fully been registered, and formally I can use the C in
That's
a
correct,
circle.
Right. As soon as you create that work, the law allows you to use that because that's when Copyright Act.
Yes, no, I do. I've read it, but the thing is that I'm a lay person, and one really has to do a lot of reading if one's a lay person to be sure one's filling out the forms correctly,
Right.
which is why I'm so happy that you enlightened me on my need to white out those lines.
Yeah, you want to make sure the information is factually correct.
Yes, well,
And that's what the registration specialist
yeah,
does.
it's like I said, I'd put it online before, and it's in videos, all of which I did. But if you're saying putting it online is not publication, but
Right.
publication is when you
Selling and distributing copies.
there you go. Well, I've distributed copies of this, but it has been to various people at various times. It's not been for sale, and I'm not sure that those people would would acknowledge that they had received copies because, as I said, there is an element of continuing criminal enterprise that's shown in this material, which hopefully your examiner will registration specialist, sorry, will see fit to freak out a little when he reads all of this, pick up the phone and call the appropriate parties to. There's in law there's something that's called when one's made known. When one's made known of a crime, especially for federal employees, I would imagine it has that extra little bit of fiduciary duty that attaches to let somebody know, oh my God, have you seen this? And shouldn't somebody put a stop to it?
Oh my goodness. And there's quite some attention here.
Well, there's a lot of money involved in markets and intellectual property that's shown in this intellectual property.
Okay.
And that hasn't been adjudicated, unfortunately, despite my best efforts to get people to do the right thing. But that being said, that's not your bailiwick, and you should be a very happy camper that it's not.
Probably.
Just give you a headache. See, this thing is great because it not only will do live streaming when you set it up for live, it's not doing it right now because I didn't spend the time in it, but it also just takes regular videos. And it's good for 3 hours, you know. It's long enough to do. Yeah, well, yeah, but you can always take them and downsize them, but you're not going to get the resolution. And then you have to be able to upload it or download it someplace. That's good. That's what's nice about this stream site that's already got an arrangement with Sony for this blogger, which is basically you go online, you click into the few questions it asks you, bingo, it hooks itself right up. It just, you know, zips right onto it. So, and free. The site's, that's, yeah, right there, you know, it's like. But they say more and more memory, smaller and smaller, you know.
It goes on to one of our official property of corporate office envelopes.
Oh, wow. We've got to take a video of that.
Okay.
Can I get one for my for my wall? You want one? You know, memorabilia. No, I don't think we should. That could be considered waste, and we're fighting waste and abuse in this country at the moment. At least some of us are.
Okay, here's your receipt. Let me go over this with you. Okay.
Please.
It shows that you're using the Form VA. Okay, deposit count is 1 with a total of...
Sorry.
That's okay. See, deposit is 1 with a total of 2 pieces. That's your artwork and the thumb drive that you gave to me.
Okay.
And that's the title of your work here. And your name and address information and phone number here.
Correct.
Shows that you're representing yourself.
Correct.
And the fee that you pay is $65 by credit card. Okay, that's your fee information. My initials are here. That's me.
Wonderful.
That's your receipt. Hang on to that. As I mentioned before, it takes about 11 or 12 months processing time while they review the material.
That's right.
And
This
send you the
means people will
certificate.
sweat.
Right, exactly. But it's effective as of today.
Good, sir. Thank you ever
Thank
so
you.
much for your
You're
help
quite-
and your demeanor and the information and the quality service.
Well,
Bottom
thank you.
line,
I
it's always a
appreciate
joy to meet people who are out there doing well with
Thank you.
style
Keep up the good work.
and gentility.
Thank you. Take care.
And you.
Take care.
So.